Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Now, here's JP.
All right, a hearty good morning to you as we bathe in the glow. Are we bathing in the glow of the aftermath of Michigan winning the national title last night? Oh, holy day. God, so much to talk about with that. It just feels weird. That's all I'm saying. Credit to Michigan. We'll get into it, but we'll break down last night's national championship game. The ramifications, what the hell happened, where's college football at right now, all that good stuff. Of course, we'll get into the Bucks. Reports this morning that the Carolina Panthers, the little kitties, are interviewing our OC and our assistant general manager, Mike Greenberg, and Dave Canales getting interviews in Carolina. What the hell is that all about? Baker Mayfield's health, Jalen Hurts' health, the Bolts' health, Wander Franco's out of jail. So much to get into this morning, and we'll say hello to you, Tim Ham. Good morning to you on this beautiful Tuesday morning. How are you?
Good morning, Tampa. Good morning, JP. It is playoff week, JP. It is wild card week, and somehow we're putting that off until later in the week, I guess, huh?
Both of our teams are into the playoffs.
Yep.
I was hoping we might see the Cowboys come visiting here, but they started slow against the Commandos, but they figured it out, I guess, right?
Well, and then you had Philly laying another egg. How about the first team in NFL history to start a season 10-1 and not make 12 wins?
Is that true?
That's a true fact.
Wow. Yeah, that's a historic collapse at the end of it. No question about it. That is a historic collapse. And just in time for the Buck fans. It's just
right.
But it's kind of bizarre because as we said yesterday, you look at this Buccaneers team and you're like, wow, 2 division titles in a row, 3 division titles in a row, 2 for Todd Bowles, no salary cap money, blah, 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 blah. And they made it. And then you look at the way they played the last 2 games and you're like, oh, are you kidding me? And you look at the Eagles and you're like, wow, this is the team that went to a couple plays away from winning the Super Bowl. They start 10-1. They can't not only can they not beat the Giants, they got blowed out. Like, are you kidding me? It was 24-0. It was a joke.
By Tyrod Taylor.
So, I mean, you could see this Buccaneers team could conceivably easily get to the second round of the playoffs. And I'm going to just sit here and say that I could probably name 5 or 6 Buccaneers teams that didn't make the playoffs that were better than this team.
Sure.
And I don't mean that, I'm not being disrespectful here. And I'm not trying to rain on the parade, as I tell you folks all the time, I'm not a Bucs fan. I like it when they win. It's good for business. Hey, when they lose, it's good for business.
Yep.
But we try to be objective here. That's what we're doing. And so is this a great football team? Hell no. You know what? There are no great football teams out there this year, except maybe the Ravens and the 49ers. I think those teams are pretty damn good. And I think they're head and shoulders above everybody else. You might just, go ahead and just scrap the playoffs and just go right to the Super Bowl. But that said, and I know Buccaneer fans are seething at me right now. It's like, whoa, dude, we're in the – yeah, you're in the playoffs, man. It's freaking awesome, and you should enjoy it, and you should keep the freaking Eagles fans out of your stadium and fill it up with Buccaneer fans, unlike the last time the Eagles visited here earlier in the season when it was more Eagles fans than Buck fans.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And this is what, kind of drives me crazy a little bit about Buccaneer fans is they get so indignant about this stuff. It's like, fill your stadium, get out there and fill your stadium. And this is important. Home field advantage is important. I mean, it's one thing on a Monday night in September to get blown out by the Eagles. And not only that, but have the entire east side of the stadium be, like Philly South Philly without the stench. But it's like, well, stink with them there. Yeah, but and there's a lot going on. I'm looking on social media. Our good friend Sam Lee over at the Loose Cannons podcast is kind of leading the charge. Is like, look, and I get it. Tough economic times, man. I get it. you get to, you're a season ticket holder. You invested in the team, so you have the right to do whatever you want with those tickets. All I'm saying, sell them to Buck fans. There's plenty of Buck fans out there that want to go to the games. And maybe you make a couple of shillings less, but have a little bit of loyalty to your team. Have a little bit of thank you if you're going to make money off your team, and just do your best to sell them to Buck fans. That's all I'm asking. Do a little due diligence and sell them to Buck fans. I'm not exactly sure how that works when you put them up on Ticketmaster, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I don't, in fact, I'm going to try to get Brian Ford on this week, COO of the Buccaneers, and find, because he's doing his best to remind fans, don't be selling your tickets. And I get it. Listen, and this happened the last game. We had fans saying, look, I wanted to go to the game, but I knew everyone around me was selling their tickets and making a ton of dough. And I'm like, why do I want to be the only Buccaneer fan in the sea of Philly fans? Nobody wants that. And what an embarrassment. What an embarrassment.
Yeah.
And so you get the snowball effect going. It's like, I really do want to go to the game, but I don't want to go with all the Philly fans around me. So I'm going to sell my tickets. We got to put a kibosh on that.
So
You've got to put a kibosh on that.
You don't think that's kind of being a bad fan?
It's being a horrible fan.
Like, I don't get.
Well,
that.
you mean if you sell your tickets anyway because everybody else is selling their tickets?
Just because you don't want to go because you're going to be surrounded by Philly fans. Like, it's your home stadium. Like, I don't care who's around me. I'm going to go to a freaking playoff game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Don't sell your first and foremost, if I could say anything, it's like, don't sell your tickets. Yeah. It's a freaking playoff game. They don't happen very often. But I'm also very cognizant of the real world, Tim, and it's tough out there. It's really tough out there. People can't make their rent payments, can't make their house payments, can't make their car payments. I mean, it's awful out there. Everybody knows. Stop with the 8% inflation. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Everybody knows inflation's about 50, 60%. Because when it comes to the things that really matter, like gas and housing and credit card bills and those things that you pay every week, every month, and the credit cards are going up because you don't have enough money to cover your nut every month, right? So you've been charging them up. We're all in the same boat, the vast majority of us. So, and I feel for these people, and they can sit there and make a $600-700 payday that's going to help them pay the rent. A stupid football game doesn't mean that much, to be quite honest, if we're bearing it down. So, in these times, I feel a little, uncomfortable telling people what to do with their money when it's that desperate. But if you're not in that situation, and I know some people who aren't, by the way, that I spoke with this week, and you know who you are. Those are the people that don't need the money selling their tickets that I really have a problem with. Right. I mean, come on. That's just, and I would just say this, if it's not a desperate thing and you just don't want, it's not comfortable, I don't want to be around Philly fans, I'll just watch it on TV. Now you're being a bad fan. Right. If you're going to be a season ticket holder and keep those tickets from some other Buccaneer fan that would want to buy them, because there is a waiting list. Sure. Okay. Especially for the good tickets. Then you have a responsibility in a situation like this to step up and be a Buccaneer fan. 100%. I'll sit here and say that. Absolutely. And we need you to. I just put a post on retweeting Samar Ali's post saying, hey, if you got some Bucks tickets, sell them to Buck fans. And here's the other thing. You can do that, okay, quote, under the table. Sure. You put them on the Ticketmaster website. First of all, they're going to just absolutely bend you over and rape you with fees. So put your tickets up on a social media site, right? And I know this gets dangerous because then you don't have the money protections, and there's a lot of thieves out there. So you got to find, maybe find another Buccaneer fan, and then, kind of, if you're on Facebook or whatever social media, just confirm who they are. Do it. You're probably going to have a mutual friend if you live in the same city. A couple of maybe degrees separation. Try to get some confirmation that they're real and they're going to pay you, and you can get the transaction done. I know it's a couple of extra steps, but A, you're going to make more money because you're not going to be paying, 15, 20% total in fees, right? And two, you're going to be selling them to a Buck fan, hopefully. So
Here's the deal, JP. And I used to have Stars season tickets back in the mid to late 90s and then into the early aughts, when they were good, competing for cups and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I didn't want to go to, and that's hockey. That's 41 games. I have 41 sets of tickets, for home games.
A lot.
And dude, I always had a friend, close friends, neighbors, whatever. Dude, if you can't make a game, let me know. I'll buy them from you.
Yeah.
And they were friends. They were Stars fans. I had so many options. If I didn't want to go to a game, I didn't have to go on the open marketplace to sell it to a stranger.
Right.
And I can't imagine it's that different, especially for a playoff game.
Yeah.
That a season ticket holder, look, if I don't want to go, you've got to have friends, family, somebody you can, and you know what? If you don't want to sell them, just give them away as a gift. Take the hit, whatever. Just to save from an Eagles fan from showing up at Raymond James.
Yeah, this is important, and we need to talk about it. It's why I wanted to start the show with it today. There's other pressing needs, but this is important. That was embarrassing back in September, and I'm here to say that it had something to do with what happened on the field. I believe that a home field advantage is a home field advantage, and when you imagine there are Buccaneer players who are fighting for their lives. I mean, this is not a supremely talented football team, okay? Right. But they work their ass off. They try hard most games, except for Devin White. But yeah, so I want to support these guys. And I want to support this organization, especially. This organization has done very well by the community, and they've done a hell of a job. And so they deserve to be saluted. I could sit here and objectively say this is not the greatest football team I've seen in the playoffs. It's not. Who cares? All right, you're in the playoffs. You got a terrible Eagles team here coming in that's just absolutely on life support. So we want to show up and give them a little hope by filling the entire, back of their bench with Eagles fans. Hell no, I don't want to see that. And it's an embarrassment for the city of Tampa and Tampa Bay fans when that crap happens. And it's one thing for it to happen in a regular season game, and it's embarrassing and all that. And the players get pissed. They do. Don't think they don't see it. Okay. Who was it? I think it was it may have been Stamkos last week when oh God, which team was it? The Rangers game.
Rangers.
And he's like, it's embarrassing to lose a home game. I think this was a home game. You don't want to hear your players saying that shit. You don't want to hear that, right? That's not, and that's bad. But again, it's hard for me, especially hockey is 41 games, a regular season, and tickets ain't cheap. Lightning ain't giving them away. So it's disheartening, and I wish we were better. I mean, I don't want to rip the fan base, but I wish we were better. We need to be better fans. Now, I don't want to be Philly fan. Urinating on young kids that are wearing the wrong jersey, throwing rocks at people that are wearing the wrong jersey, beating the living hell out of people that are just wearing the wrong jersey. Now, I don't want to be that group. You can have that level of fandom. I'm not interested in that. But I'm interested in supporting your home team in a freaking playoff game. We can do better. We can do better. And I expect Buck fans to do better. You can't. I mean, 10%, 15%, organically, it's going to happen. 50% like it was for the game, if not more, Monday night. That's absolutely, completely unexpectable and unacceptable. And you're an embarrassment as a fan base if that happens. And I'll sit here and I'll be on here Tuesday morning if that's the case, and I will say that as loud as I can possibly say it. Because right now it's Tuesday. You have the opportunity to stop this. Okay? Every Buccaneer fan that's going to sell their – now, I will say this. I don't know how many there are, and I don't know how hard it is to weed them out. I know Brian Ford is trying to, but there is a group, and I don't know how many they are. They are ticket brokers. Okay. They come in and they become season ticket holders, and they have multiple accounts, and they make money off this stuff. And they don't work in Tampa, but they work everywhere, and hey, free enterprise. I'm here for it. Okay, fine. So there's probably a level of that you can't now. I know the Bucks look at these exchanges online because they can track everything now because everything is electronic, and they say, okay, this guy is selling, 7 of the 8 or 8 ticket, whatever they are, right? And they're weeding those people out as much as they can. And they've been doing that. So they're doing as much as they think they possibly can. But that happened. So I'm going to say organically, there's probably 10 to 15% of tickets that are on the market up for grabs for anybody who wants them, which, by the way, Buck fans can buy them too, you know?
Yeah.
And I think with Philly losing 5 of 6, there's probably going to be less of an interest in, they're talking about, who's going to be their next coach. And they want, Jim Harbaugh to be their next coach. I mean, the guy's not even, they're in the playoffs and they've already got their head coach fired, for God's sakes, which is interesting.
After he just went to a Super Bowl.
And we're talking about, you can't fire Todd Bowles because he won 2 division titles, even though he's 500. I'm like, look around the league now, mediocrity should not be rewarded. I mean, I know that sounds harsh right now, but that's what his overall record right now is 17-18 in 2 years, and including the playoffs.
Yeah.
And if he loses in this playoff game, it's 17-19. Oh, you can't fire a coach who's 17 and well, yeah, you can. Actually,
do whatever you want.
Yeah. And and I hear a lot of people say, oh, politically, you can't do that. You can't fire an African American coach who's won 2 division titles in a row. I'm like, the Buccaneers have hired 4 African American coaches. Okay, I don't know the numbers, but I'm going to pretty much guess that that's the most in league history. I mean, if there's anybody that's going to look at this organization and yell racism or whatever, I mean, take a better look. They have a pretty damn good record.
Tampa Bay is the lone team in the NFL that's ever had 4 black head coaches. Houston and the Raiders have had 2. And the Raiders don't count because they were both Art Shell.
Let's keep it, let's keep it on the field. Let's keep it colorless as it always should be. All right. For God's sakes. And, we evaluate Todd Bowles like we evaluate anybody else. And I heard people talking about, well, we need to fire Todd Bowles and get Dave Canales if the Panthers are going to take him. Dave Canales is not ready to be a head coach. Okay. In my opinion, he's not ready to be a head coach. He just got elevated to his first coordinator position. I know other people had, and he's very charismatic, I believe. But I think Dave Canales would admit to you as well that he's not ready. Now, if somebody's going to offer him a head coaching job, he'd be stupid to say no. But, Raheem Morris took a head coaching job when he wasn't ready. And look how that went. Not so well. And it's how many years later, he still doesn't have a head coaching job. Now, he might get one in this cycle. And I think Raheem is obviously a tremendously different person, much more mature. I always thought at some point he'd get another shot, and I think he'd be a pretty damn good head coach.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I think it's about time that he gets one, but that's
Commanders are showing interest, by the way.
15 years after 10 to 15 years later.
Yeah.
And won a Super Bowl with the Rams, et cetera, et cetera. It's got a tremendous resume. He's ready. Dave Canales is not. So in my opinion, so stop with the we got to hire Dave Canales before the Panthers do. That's not happening. He's got work to do anyway. And if the Panthers do hire him, and nothing against Dave, I love him. I think he's fantastic, but I don't think he's ready. I don't think that will go well. I really don't think that will go well.
Do you think anyone will go well going to Carolina?
No, that's another thing. I think he's a disaster of an owner. He's clearly a hothead. He's completely immature. Should not be leading a franchise in the NFL, in my opinion. So whatever. And now Mike Greenberg, our assistant general manager, is also being interviewed. And the fact of the matter is he's going to get a job. He's done a tremendous job here with the Buccaneers. And he's going to get a job. I just hope it's not within the division.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
We'll see. All those guys deserve, a shot. So
they do.
Depends on where it is.
Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to get that out there about the tickets. Let's be better, folks. Let's be better. Let's get to some of the other bits and pieces. We're going to talk a lot of Bucks with Scott Reynolds coming up here. We'll get to Baker's health, the Eagles' health, and all that stuff. So we'll do that with Scott Reynolds at 10:30. So I want to get into a little bit of the national championship game last night. And I will eat one here for my hate of Michigan. And I've said many times that I thought Alabama would beat Michigan. They had a good shot, probably could have if they could, snap the football in the second half. They probably would have beaten Michigan. But let's give Michigan full credit. Previous to the Connor Stallions firing, they were, I think McCarthy had 18 touchdowns against 1 interception. The following few games, he had, I think, 1 touchdown and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And the numbers are staggering with and without Connor Stallion. No question about it. It is what it is. It is. But I cannot ignore what they did. My big beef with Michigan is they hadn't played anybody. They hadn't played anybody, the week before they played Ohio State, they hadn't played anybody. And I don't consider Penn State a very good football team. Offensively, They're terrible. Defensively, really good. But, on the road, head coach with big game issues, offense that's completely high school. Yeah, I don't think they were good. But anyway, the fact that Michigan went in and beat Penn State, went on the road, beat Maryland, a decent Maryland team, even though it was probably harder than expected. Then you beat Iowa, okay, whatever. But this gauntlet, you beat Ohio State. It's a good football team. They're a good football team. You beat Alabama, and then you beat Washington. Tip of the cap. Michigan, the way they did it, they were dominant. They were dominant. And now that I've seen them play good teams, I can comfortably say they're a good football team. They're a damn good football team, and they're worthy of winning the national championship. There's no question in my mind. They are monsters on defense. They beat you up physically, and that's what they did to Washington last night. They hit Michael Penix so many damn times. He was not Michael Penix. He just wasn't. He missed Odunze 3 or 4 times for touchdowns, so 2 or 3
He was
times.
way off. I mean, that was the worst game of his career.
Yeah, and it's not like he had a bad night. They forced him to have a bad night. They knocked the crap out of him, and they confused him with their defensive looks and the passing off of players. There were guys open at times, and if he hits the one to Odunze, that's a touchdown in the second quarter, and we're looking at a tie game. I think it's really, really different because Michigan having to come from behind. I don't think they had to do it at all this year, did they? All year. I think just against Alabama to come back and get the tying touchdown, right? Right. I think that was about the only time. So I don't think Michigan's a very good chase team, but hey, if you're never behind, you ain't got to worry about that if you're that good, right? So, I think it might have been a little bit of a different game, but I want to respect a lot of stuff that Jim Harbaugh does. And that's, he went back and went old school. And we stopped, trying to keep up with the Joneses and all the other spread stuff and all that. Said, what we're going to do at Michigan? We're going to do what we do at Michigan. We're going to get some big old boys up front on both sides of the ball. And we are going to physically whoop your ass. That's what his 49er teams used to do. You could talk about Colin Kaepernick and some of those, but that physical nature started with the 49ers, started with Jim Harbaugh. And that's just old school football. You can have all the 5-star receivers you want. Give me 5-star offensive and defensive linemen, and I'll whoop your ass every single game. I can go get 3- and 4-star wide receivers and skill position guys and beat you as long as my front 2 lines are 5 stars. And everybody in college football understands that now. Even the greatest offensive coordinators will tell you that right now. And in the NFL, I think that, it's I won't say starting to get back to that, but I think the good coaches understand that. It's, the front guys make the difference. The other guys, you can find them, it'd be nice to get a quarterback who's really, really good and accurate and can throw the football, but there's lots of those guys out there as well. You give me 2 lines of scrimmage that are that dominant, and I'll win. And that's what Michigan did. Their offensive line was every bit as good as Washington's, which was the Joe Moore Award winner. Yep. And their running backs are just freaking fantastic. I mean, Corum and the long touchdown guy last night, brain fart, whatever. He was fantastic. They had 149 yards in the first quarter and 2 big runs. I mean, those guys just needed a crease and they were gone. Great running backs, great offensive line. I mean, JJ McCarthy didn't have to do much at all. And that's not on him. He made 1 big throw in the second half. It was a great throw under duress over the middle to Loveland that just cashed it in. And the game was over. So a tip of the cap to Michigan. And I'll say this about Jim Harbaugh. What coincided with him cheating, by the way, was making changes on his staff. Getting rid of longtime defensive coordinator Don Brown, who was, a great coach for a long, long time, but just archaic ways. Did not know how to defend new football. Yeah. And went to the pros and got some guys that know how to do it and implemented it. And you got to get, younger staffs recruit a hell of a lot better. So this change, I guess they cheat a lot better too, and they knows how to work computers a lot better. That was an issue. I mean, he brought in younger, inexperienced guys that maybe thought they should be pushing the envelope and doing things they shouldn't. I still, to this day, will never buy that Jim Harbaugh didn't know about it. And is this tainted? Is this title tainted? Yeah, of course it is. It's tainted a little bit. Is it the reason that they won? They won? No, it's not. Because after, I guess they stopped cheating, and look what they did at the end of the season. You have to recognize that. You have to tip the cap. But did they cheat? Yes, they did. Did they do stuff that other people aren't doing? Yeah, they did. And that has to be noted. Is it asterisk worthy? I don't know. Is anybody going to remember it? The Ohio State people will. People like me probably will.
Yeah. For sure.
You can't have your and some of these recruiting violations are just ridiculous anyway. I'm not gonna jump on Jim Harbaugh for contacting players during COVID. I mean, are you?
Because everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it.
I mean, so the NCAA stuff I could give a rat's ass about. The other stuff, the advanced scouting, electronic advanced scouting, I don't. For all I know, they were hacking into the other team's game plans. That was part of what Ohio State has been now accused of. And I imagine there's probably a few people trying to do that because it's not that hard. Every player has a password. think about that for a second.
How much easier it is now.
Yeah. I mean, if you're fourth on the depth chart and somebody comes at you and says, hey, here's a nice honorarium for your beer fund. You have that password to your iPad there, and you hate the coach anyway.
Yeah. No, but see, here's my deal with all of this, and everybody. I was watching Get Up this morning, and this is why I rarely watch those shows because sometimes it's just sheer stupidity. And I'm sure people say this about me, but I'm like, how did these guys get on the show on ESPN? It just
sometimes you wonder, yeah,
because I forgot who it was. Said, you know what? Yeah, they were under investigation and there were violations and the cheating scandal, but you know what? Even after they got caught. And they stopped doing it. Look who they beat. They had to go in and beat these guys after they stopped cheating. And now we see how they really are. They probably shouldn't have been cheating in the first place. And I'm like, number one, what makes you think they stopped?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Just because they're under investigation doesn't mean they stopped. Number two, if they were guilty of all the things they're being accused of with the advanced scouting, which we know they are, they should not have been allowed to be in the playoff to begin with. You should have had to vacate wins. You are no longer undefeated. You're not 14-0 going into the playoffs. You should not have been allowed to be there.
Other teams have been sanctioned for less.
Yes.
And had to vacate wins for less. Yes.
Much less than this.
Yeah.
And that is my whole
And I would argue things that have less to do with winning football games.
Yes. Things that probably didn't matter to what was going on the field. But that's my whole thing. If they were being punished the way I think they should have by vacating wins, they wouldn't even have been there in the first place. And that's why I tweeted out last night. And yes, I was pulling for Washington. I'm kind of a Michigan guy, though, but I cannot cheer for Michigan in the playoff when I know they're guilty of doing what they've done. And I don't think they should have been there. Yeah. And I tweeted out immediately. I said, boys and girls, what's the lesson tonight? Cheaters always win. Go cheat.
No, it's true. That's true. And that's a lesson we've been corroborating for quite some time now in this country.
Right.
It's like cheaters, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
And I think that is a lesson that I think has been embraced by a majority of people in this country. No question about it.
Right.
And it is rewarded. It is rewarded. Look, it's been rewarded time and time and time again. Look, from politics to sports. And you can say the same thing in terms of Florida State. You were punished. You did everything right. You did everything you were told to do. As Mike Norvell said in his final speech to his players, he said, "I told you this before we started, folks. Hard work doesn't guarantee you anything. We used to be able to say, you work hard and you keep your nose to the grindstone, you'll get what you want. Yeah, that's not true anymore. It's not true anymore. The playing field is no longer level. It's no longer level.
And it probably never will be again.
Justice, doing the right thing, honesty, integrity. These are values that are laughed at are scoffed at. It's like, yeah, that's what losers do. I'm a winner. I'll cheat my way to the top, and I'll make all the money I want to make, while you losers sit there and go to work every day 9 to 5, while I'm scamming the government for millions of dollars on my computer here, and I'm bragging about it and putting it on Instagram.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, it's true, 100%. And it sucks that the two biggest stories in this college football season are Michigan cheating, got away with it, won the title. FSU doing everything right, getting screwed.
Go cheat, boys and girls.
Think about that for a second, boys and girls.
Yep.
Sad to say. All right, we'll take a quick break and pay the bills. If you think you've been cheated, the Jeeves Law Group can help you. JEEVES lawgroup.com. They will make it right. They will use the scales of justice to make things right, folks. Yes, I kid, but that's absolutely true. The Jeeves Law Group, that's what they're there for. Scott Jeeves, he'll be at his St. Pete office or his Hillsborough office in Tampa. Either way, he's local. The entire group of lawyers there can do anything you need them to do. They can take on the big insurance companies and win. They do it all the time. And they're small enough to make you a priority. So make it the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com, right here in Tampa, homegrown. Back in 3 with Scott Reynolds of the Peter Report. Stay with us. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Scott Reynolds will be joining us here in moments. Has a computer restart going on. Gives us time to say Bay Area Modern Medical Center is where you need to be to get your immune system right. Boy, there's a lot going around. I can tell Tim's suffering from a little head cold sinus thing going. Yeah, I've been doubling up on all the supplements that Chris Lugo's got me on, and I felt something coming on the other day. Got the body chills. Laid down, went to bed, sweated it out, woke up in the morning, felt great. So my body fought it off. It's interesting when you can feel that happening, right? You just like it was cold in the house and I'm just like in a pure sweat to wake up. And Ashley's like, did you take a shower last night or something? As when you jump in bed, like what the hell happened? I'm like, no, my fever broke, but I woke up feeling a lot better. So, and he's got me on quercetin, vitamin D, heavy doses of vitamin C, a multivitamin, and a couple other supplements. So, and it's working because I haven't got super sick yet. I know everybody else is, so hopefully I won't. But if you're trying to build up your immune system, get your nutrition right, boy, our food is just so tainted right now, you guys. Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. My good friend Scott Reynolds joins me, a happy patient over at Bay Area Modern Medical Center.
How are you doing? I'm doing good. Yes, very happy patient. Dr. Lugo is the real deal. Legit. Highly recommend.
Yes.
And I'm not a paid endorser either. I'm just a patient. Not. So, yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
He's not.
Right. But you gave me a great referral, and I could not be more pleased with my medical care. So,
yeah, I mean, I text him all the time. I don't know if you do.
But
I text him all the time, and he gets right back to me. He's like, we'll take it.
I bug the crap out of him. I just text him about non-medical things.
He enjoys it. He really, you become friends with him as a patient. Yeah. And he loves interacting with you and just other things than just, about your medical history. So it's good stuff. BAMMC.com. Be a happy patient. All right. I need some therapy from you. I need to get on the Pewter Report couch here with Scott Reynolds. Because I watched the tape of that thing now twice, and I went back and watched some of the Saints game. And I'm just sitting here and as happy as I am, I'm living in the moment. The Buck fan part of me, I'm objective, but is like, we're in the playoffs, man. Stay in the moment, enjoy it. Let's fill the house with Buck fans and let's go have some fun in the postseason. The other part of me as a football analyst going, man, that's bad. There's a lot of bad football out there, especially on the offensive side. So I'm conflicted.
Okay.
I'm conflicted, Doctor. What do I do?
I can help you. Okay. So two things that might be a little bit of dose of hopium here for you.
Opium. I like
Opium. That. Yeah. Okay. So the first of which was Tristan Wirf's post-game speech. I like the fact this guy's becoming more vocal, and he's always been a leader by example. And I remember having conversations with him like last year when Jensen was out, right? And Ali Marpet retired. And it's like, man, you've got to step up. You've got to this is your offensive line, Tristan. Like, you've got to be the guy and step up and assert yourself as a leader. You're the best offensive lineman there is. And it's nuts because he's kind of an aw shucks guy, and he doesn't necessarily want to, kind of be that dominant leader, but yet that's what he's called on to be as the best offensive lineman. And I think he's really stepped up into a more vocal leadership role this year. He was worried about like, am I going to let the team down moving to left tackle? What if I'm not the same guy, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what? It's like, he is still the same guy. He was hurt this year playing through injuries. That's why he gave up some sacks he normally wouldn't. But I mean, he was absolutely dominant in Carolina. He was the best player on the field for the Buccaneers. And so the fact that he said, hey, defense, you saved the day today. Offense, we got to step up. I like that. I like that kind of clarion call to call to arms. Like it's do or die. It's now or never. We got to step up and be.
We're not satisfied.
We're not satisfied. Now, the other piece of hopium I can give you is Todd Bowles has recognized what the problem is. And he said it. He said it in his press conference, if you listen closely. And I do have a master's degree in Bowlesism, so I can decipher what Bowles says and what he means. And he subtly, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the exact quote in front of me here, but he says, we need to call some different plays. Meaning, what is the one common denominator, JP, between the Saints game last week and the Panthers game on Sunday?
A lot of runs up the middle.
Even more so than that. Before the game even starts, what's the common denominator? They're both NFC South teams.
Yeah.
This is the second time they're playing the Saints, the second time they're playing the Panthers. Now, what happened the second time they played the Falcons? 27 points, right? Mm-hmm. Why did they score 27 points against the Falcons and have a better showing in the second game? Because they lost to the Falcons before. They only scored 13 points. It was a terrible performance. Oh. So Dave Canales had to do things different in round 2 versus the Falcons.
Okay. Yeah.
And it worked. But what happened the first time they played the Saints? Scored 26 points.
Yeah.
Beat them 26-9 at their place. Scored 21 points, beat the Panthers 21-18 in Ray J. So I think Canales, this is just part of that learning and growing and maturation process. And I think he spent too much time on, well, this worked against them the first time. Okay. So listen, these are NFL teams. This isn't like college or high school where you can use the same plays again and expect the same results.
Right.
So I think that's kind of Todd Bowles, and he wasn't taking a shot at Dave Canales. It was just honest evaluation. It was like, well, we got to try some different plays, Dave.
Yeah.
And I think that is what prompted and I think it's Bowles even telling on himself too, right? Because if you look at the first Saints game, they held the Saints to 9 points offensively, right? Yeah. The Saints came out and did some different things this time, and they put up 23 points on the Buccaneers in round 2, right? Yeah. Well, what happened did Todd Bowles learn a lesson from that? I think he did, because the Panthers put up 18 points on the Buccaneers the first go round and were shut out this game.
Yeah.
So I just think it was the second time around syndrome for Dave Canales, and he just had to. And it's a great lesson to learn now, right? Because you're playing, guess what? The Eagles for the second time.
That's a great point.
Thankfully for the Buccaneers, nothing worked against the Eagles the first time. They scored 11 points, right? And they had 174 yards of offense. This is back in week 3 before they could even really run the ball.
Most of that was in charity time.
It was, exactly. Yeah. So the good news is Dave Canales doesn't have anything that worked in week 3 to lean on. So he's got to come up with something entirely new. And I think that's kind of the lesson learned. And the fact that it was back-to-back weeks of 13 points and 9 points was a red flag to Dave Canales. Alarm bell is going off saying, hey, this is not a fluke. Like, man, I've really got to change some things up here, right? To score more points against the Eagles in this do-or-die playoff game. So if it was just 13 points, but we scored 18 points against the Panthers and shut them out, that's almost a bad thing. Right. The fact that they only had 3 field goals, didn't score a single touchdown for the first time all season, that should send off some alarm bells to Dave Canales. And I think Todd Bowles has identified that, and he's a hands-off guy. He's a hands-off head coach. All he's going to tell Dave is, hey, we need some new plays. And Dave's like, got it.
Well, and this is in the NFL at this level. It's chess, not checkers. And
that's right.
If you're playing against the same guy and you use a certain, strategy, if the guy's halfway decent, he's going to notice you using the same strategy again.
He spent all week looking at film of what happened last time. He's going to be prepared and ready for it.
Yeah, if you move pawn to tonight too, just like you did last time, then something's going to something's up, and
that's right.
They probably have a counter move for that waiting for you,
no doubt.
And that's what the Saints did. They went after our they went to the tight ends and running backs, mostly tight ends, and attacked that part of our defense, and it worked tremendously well. And we never really adjusted until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and guess what? They didn't use the tight ends at all, really, in the first game.
That's right.
So they did something completely different to attack Tampa Bay, and they said, "You want to take away Olave and Rashid Shaheed? Be our guest.
Yeah,
we're going to attack the middle of the field with the tight
ends." Yeah. I agree totally. Yeah. So as we turn, I want to hit this too before we get too far into the X and O weeds. Because I see this as an issue that certainly fans are going to be talking about. They already are on social media, and that's selling your tickets to Eagles fans. The game in September on Monday night was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. We see this across the Tampa Bay landscape, to be quite honest.
Sure.
And it's, as a person that tries to be objective about some things, even though I live here in Tampa Bay, I don't want to rip on our fan base. It's an issue. Across, it's an issue with the Lightning, it's an issue with the Rays, and it's an issue with the Bucks. In playoff games, this should not be an issue. I understand you're trying to make some money during the regular season. I get it. And times are tough. So I don't
got some holiday bills to pay off, credit cards. Yeah.
But and so if you got to sell them, I'm just saying,
sell them
make
to Bucks
the
fans.
extra effort to sell them to Buck fans. Don't just put them on the market and take the highest price. Make, call your friends, put out a post, say, hey, I can't make it to the game. You don't have to tell them that you're late on a house payment, as most of us are. You don't have to admit any of that.
Right.
Just say, I can't make it to the game, but I want to sell them to Buck fans. You'll have plenty of options.
That's right.
So don't just throw them up on Ticketmaster and let them eat all your fees anyway. You can still transfer your tickets to anybody you want and make a transaction outside of it. I understand there's risk with that, so do it to a friend. You put a post out there, I guarantee you'll find some Buck fans. I think this needs to be
well said.
A conversation, right?
It's well said. And the other thing I'll say too is I'm just not sure how many Eagles fans want to see this Eagles team, right?
They're crazy. I would think that too, but they're
I know, but it's like I dabbled in, I just typed in Eagles on X and looked at some of the comments. They want to fire Nick Sirianni.
I know.
All right. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl. They were in the Super Bowl last year. They lost to the Chiefs by 3 points. They put up 35 points. They lost 38-35. Okay. Yeah. And both of their coordinators took head coaching jobs, right? Yeah. So Sirianni is okay, well, we're going to try to. They started off 10-1. I get it. They've lost 5 out of the last 6. I get it. But right now, it's I don't know that there's Eagles fans that are that committed to come down here. Because the last thing you want to do is pay good money right after the holiday season, fly to Florida, and watch your team lose. And I honestly think the Buccaneers have a pretty good chance of beating the Eagles more so than any other team in the playoffs because of the way the Eagles are kind of on the downward spiral, losing 5 out of the last 6.
Kind of.
Some ugly losses too. And they're beaten up and battered even more so than Baker Mayfield is. So they're catching the right team at the right time. And honestly, I'm just going to say it. If they don't beat the Eagles, then really shame on Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers because this is, if this were a 13-4 Eagles team coming down here, right, and they're playing good football, and they were as good as they looked back in week 3, and everybody was healthy, then you say, okay, the better team won. But I really think that this is an even game. I think the way the Eagles have tanked and the way the Bucks have kind of ascended in health, I think either team can win this game. And because it's at home, the Buccaneers should win this game. So it's kind of a damning thing, I think, if Todd Bowles and the Bucks lose this game, to be honest.
All right. So the ultimate question comes up, and everybody says, no, Todd Bowles is safe. He's won 2 division titles. I don't prescribe to that. I think that he needs, especially what you just described. Right. I think he needs to win this game to certainly lock it up. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think right now Todd Bowles is kind of in an in-between world, right? Kind of like upside down world, but in between world, right? You've got the upper echelon of Bucks coaches, right? Bruce Arians, Super Bowl champion, highest winning percentage, right? You have John Gruden, Super Bowl champion, most wins in franchise history. You have Tony Dungy, architect of the Bucks turnaround, the entire franchise turnaround, right? And kind of set the table defensively for John Gruden to win the Super Bowl. Those are the 3 upper echelon coaches. Then I think you've got that next tier, right? Which is John McKay is probably by himself, right? And then you've got Dirk Cutter, kind of like that next level. And I think that Todd is in the Dirk Cutter level, right? And the reason I say that is I know he's won 2 back-to-back NFC South titles, but 9-8 and 8-9. That's a 17-17 record. He's got a 500 record right now.
No, it's below 500 if you throw in the playoff game.
True, exactly. It's 1 game below. But I'm just saying regular season, right? It's 17-17.
Yep.
And just looking at the facts here, this is not like when Raheem Morris lost, right? When he was 10-6, they didn't win the division. They were 10-6. They didn't win the division. In other words, if you go back and look at the division winners, you're talking about double-digit wins for teams
every
like
year.
a 13-3 team like New Orleans, or a 12-4 team like Atlanta, right? I mean, like upper echelon teams. This is a downtrodden division. It has been the last 3 years, really, 2 years for sure, and the Bucks barely won the division both times. It went down to week 17 last year, and they won it with a losing record, in week 18 this year. So as much as I give them credit for that, if you look at the quality of these NFC South titles, it's not like the 99 Buccaneers under Dungy, or the 2002 Buccaneers under Gruden.
It's not like any back-to-back division winners in NFL history, because I don't have the numbers in front of me. I've tried to look them up. It's kind of hard to, but just looking anecdotally, I went through about 50 back-to-back division winners. Like every year, the Patriots won the AFC South.
Yeah, they dominated their division. The Buccaneers did not dominate this division.
13, 14 wins, and back-to-back, when you combine the records of back-to-back champions are usually at minimum 8 to 10 games over 500. Most of them 12 to 14 games over 500 in the two combined season. This team was 500. It's unprecedented. So
it really is.
When we keep referring to that, I just don't think it shouldn't carry the same weight as it normally would.
I agree. I mean, I think that's fair. You have the hat and T-shirt, you have the banner, you got it, right? It says that in the record books, but you have to kind of look at the quality of it. I mean, this division is so bad, it was there for the taking, right? And you barely took it. Like that's just honest commentary. And so I think Todd Bowles deserves credit for actually doing it. It beats not doing it, right? But but the thing is when you hire a coach, the expectation is not division championships. The expectation is Super Bowl. The only way you win a Super Bowl is to win postseason games. Now, Todd Bowles, thanks to those division titles, has two opportunities now in his first 2 seasons as head coach here in Tampa to prove to the Glaziers, Jason Light, you, me, the Buccaneer fan base, the media, that he is a playoff caliber coach, that he can beat, teams and outcoach them. And you know what? To an extent, he did that. I mean, in the Super Bowl, he outcoached Andy Reid. Andy Reid play caller, Todd Bowles play caller, right? So there's the potential for that. But now that he's the head coach, it's clock management, timeout usage, right? It's, do I throw the red challenge flag? There's more to it than just calling defensive plays.
How emotionally focused and physically focused are my teams when they need it most? Yeah.
Can we get a hot start? Can we, if we're down 10 points, can we push the right buttons and rally, right? There's so many things that go into being a head coach. And I think that it's perfectly fine for the Glaziers to say, we want to see if this guy can win in the postseason. And I think all it takes is one win. If they win and they go to Dallas and lose, this is a building block year. More cap room, you add resources to it. Canales is back, Bowles is back, continuity. Like, I'm all for it. But show us that you can win a home playoff game, a winnable home playoff game, I'm going to say. And if you can't, then the Glaziers and Jason Light have the obligation to the franchise and the fans to look behind door number 2 and say, is there an upgrade? And I love Tony Dungy. I give him mad respect. He had from 1996 to 2001 to get this team to the Super Bowl. And it didn't happen. It just didn't. He didn't hold the offensive side accountable enough and didn't put enough resources there to get that to happen. He went through 3 offensive coordinators in his last 3 years. And the Glaziers said, we love you, Tony, but we have to level up. And they did. And that's what the history book said. The trade for John Gruden, they struck lightning in a bottle. And it worked out. 12-4, best record in franchise history. The defense carried them until Gruden's offense got good. They put, 31 points on the board against the 49ers. They finally scored touchdowns in Philadelphia to beat the Eagles. And then take away the 3 pick sixes by Dwight Smith and Derek Brooks. They still outscored the Raiders on offense. Take away those 3. Take away those 3 pick sixes. Gruden's offense scored enough to still beat the Raiders in that game. So having said that, what's behind door number 2? Is it a Bobby Slowick? Is it a Todd Monken? Is it a Ben Johnson? Can they make the right move again to level up if Todd Bowles can't win a playoff game?
Yep.
I think they have to look behind that door and see. And trust me, okay? Just like free agency doesn't start when the NFL says it does, they're having conversations. I don't know this. I'm not saying this as fact. I'm saying this as informed speculation.
Right,
like I'm smarter than this.
We know how the business works.
We know the business works, right?
If they're not talking to people right now, somebody's not doing their job.
Exactly, because every NFL team is doing it, right? And it's like these back channel communications, right? I believe likely happen, and they're kind of getting the lay of the land, who's interested and who's not, because that's the thing. If you fire Todd Bowles, like you don't want to go from the frying pan into the fire, right? Like you want to level up. You don't want to sit there.
Yeah, you better upgrade.
Right, and fire Todd Bowles, and then your top 3 candidates go to other teams, and then you're left like, oh crap, like we shouldn't have fired Todd. So there's that. And I think that the last thing I'll say on this is, if they believe Dave Canales is a future head coach, and I think that he has the potential to be. He's got the charisma, the likability, the believability, the leadership. I think he's got all those things except for the resume right now. He just is a rookie play caller.
Needs more experience.
And listen, he is going to get a ton of head coaching candidate jobs because he's minority. He's of Hispanic descent. So don't be alarmed in the fact that he's getting all of these. He's going to get a ton of jobs because he is the guy to check the Rooney Rule box. And I think there is some genuine interest, and I'm not disparaging Canales. I think there's some genuine interest in getting to know this guy and finding out what he's about. But I think a lot of teams understand that what are they averaging? 20 points per game right now. It's 2 points more than they did last year. It's good, but it's not necessarily great.
They're 21st in the league.
Yeah, right. So
not knocking it out of the park.
That's a hard sell to fans, saying, yeah, we're going to take this 1 year play caller and 21st in the league, and we're going to make him our head coach. And he's going to win the press conference. There's no doubt. And he'll get his teams to rally, but he needs some more seasoning. He needs another year as an offensive coordinator, get those statistics up, right? More points, more yards, etc., right? More Pro Bowls for offensive players. And I think he'll be ready next year. Now, if you're the Buccaneers and you know that, that might be an interesting situation where if you want to give Todd Bowles the benefit of the doubt and it starts to go south at some point in time next year, let's say they start off 2-4 or something, right? They get a tough schedule next year. They start off 2-4. They're not happy with the direction. Maybe then you look to promote Dave Canales as your interim head coach. And that way you don't let Canales leave and you have him kind of like in the building and as your plan B whenever you want to pull the plan B card. So there's that scenario to consider too. I mean, that there would be a little bit of plotting and scheming on the Buccaneers because, but you know what? Dirk Cutter was Lovie Smith's offensive coordinator.
That's right.
And look what happened there. So,
Mike Greenberg also rumored to be a candidate in Carolina. Is this Carolina just looking for some information via the interview?
It might be.
Teams do that, by the way. We know this.
Of course.
They bring him in to interview to find out what's going on with, behind enemy lines in Tampa Bay.
Sure.
Why are they beating our ass? Well, let's interview a couple of them. Let's take the opportunity and see what's going on because Canales and Greenberg are going to want to put their best foot forward. Now, they're not going to divulge any company secrets. Right. I'm not saying that, but just, tapping into how they do things. And, obviously they're telling you, here's my plan to make Carolina better. They're giving you what, the best of what they've done in Tampa. Yeah. So that gives you a little bit of insight of what's going on. Maybe they're doing things better than you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It might be a thing too, where they implement some of the things that Mike Greenberg says to do because it's a good idea and then not hire him,
Right. Exactly.
It's free information is really what it is. These interviews are free information.
Business all the time.
Right. And by the way, Jason Light sat in on every offensive coordinator interview last year that Todd Bowles was doing. You don't think he was like, in his mind, looking at prospective head coaching candidates and his Bowles didn't work out? I mean,
when they talked to Todd Monken?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That would be a good idea.
It would be a very good idea.
People might see, and because I kind of see what people talk about and what's going through their brains, and they might be saying, wow, Jason Light's already trying to get rid of Todd Bowles behind his back. that's backstabbing. No,
it's not.
This is his job.
It's
This is
being
what he's
prepared. Yes.
Yeah, you can't let personal feelings, because I know Todd,
Mhm.
and Jason have a great relationship. They love each other, but they also know the business that they're in.
That's right.
And this is why these guys get paid.
Got to be prepared. You have to have
Yes.
you have to have a hot sheet. How many times have we seen in season? Look what happened to the Bears. Their defensive coordinator quit in season, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared. Bruce Arians, part of the reason he was hired is because he said, "Hey, I've got Todd Bowles here that in case I have a heart attack or I have to like abruptly retire during the season, he's a head coach. If you don't like him, I also have Byron Leftwich, right? I think the Buccaneers chose wisely. But you know what I'm saying? Like he had those built in because of his age and his previous health conditions. He had those plan Bs already in place and was like volunteering that information to the Buccaneers. Hey, if you hire me, boom, we've got a couple of candidates here that can like replace me at a moment's notice. And guess what? Bruce opted out for whatever reason on March 30th. Right. And Todd Bowles was here ready to go. So you're smart to have plan Bs, not just on your depth chart and not just on your practice squad in case there's an injury or whatever, but you have to have them on your coaches. There's got to be, hey, Todd Bowles is 60. What if he has some type of medical condition where he has to step down? Right. Who steps in? Yeah. You have to have those things. And is it someone from the outside of the organization? I mean, there's no better example than what happened in Indianapolis. That's how Bruce Arians got his job.
Right. Yeah.
Right. He was the head coach. What was his name? The Colts head coach.
Chuck Pagano.
Chuck Pagano got leukemia, right? Cancer. Had to step down. So those things happen. You've got to have those lists prepared. And it's your job. You're right. It's your job to gather information. And when you do it under the guise of we're looking at offensive coordinators, the information is the information. Just like Carolina is going to pick the brains of Canales and the brains of Mike Greenberg, whether they hire them or not. You can guarantee David Tepper and whoever's on his committee are writing down every idea from every candidate, and the ones they like, they're going to implement, whether they hire those guys or not.
Hey, real quick, Scott, before you go, maybe just a quick update on what you know about injuries here, and just watching Baker play. Gosh, at the end of the game, I wasn't as concerned about the ribs as I was the ankle. The ankle. When you go look at his down performances, it's been after the ankle injury. Those two games were not good. Yeah. If he can't move, he's really, really ineffective. If he has to just sit in that pocket, not that he can't do it. It's just not. He needs to have every tool at his disposal. Yeah. And he's beat up right now.
He is. There's no doubt about it.
I'm a little concerned. Now, I'm not sitting here going, all right, let's get Trask ready. But I'm just concerned. I don't know if he's going to be at his best. The last 2 weeks have been really, really bad.
Yeah. I mean, the best case scenario for the Buccaneers is having this game on Monday night, right? As opposed to Saturday. Because if it's a Saturday day game, I mean, think about it. He's getting an extra 2 full days until Monday night to rest and heal. And if think about it like this, let's say you've had an appendectomy or some type of surgery where it's not like major, but it's you're in the hospital and you come home. By that third day, you're feeling so much better than you did the day you got home from the hospital, right? So that's what we're talking about here. It's two more days off that ankle, getting treatment, icing it down, getting therapy, all that stuff. And is he going to be 100%? Absolutely not. But he's going to be closer to it on Monday than he would have been on Saturday or Sunday. So there's that. Is it going to give time for the Eagles to heal too? Sure. But you know what? I don't really care about the Eagles. I care about Baker Mayfield and his health. Because I agree. If he's playing good to great football, this team has a monumental chance to really win the game. Yeah. Okay.
That team that played at Green Bay.
Yes.
And against the Jaguars.
No doubt. If that team shows up, I mean, they can pack their bags. They're going on to the next round, wherever that may be, right? That's going to happen. But the Baker that we saw against the Saints and the Panthers the last 2 weeks,
not good.
Man, you better win the turnover margin by a lot. Your defense better show up, and Antoine Winfield Jr. Needs to have that Superman cape tied firmly around his neck, not to be taken off on Monday night. I'm more concerned about the ankle than I am the ribs. It's everything, right? It's planting and driving, right? It's having that base to throw from. It's being able to move around the pocket and find that window quickly and throw. And then it's also the ability to scramble for yards, to scramble and avoid sacks. Maybe he can't scramble for yards in this game, but maybe it's getting outside the pocket enough to throw the ball away and set up 2nd and 10 rather than 2nd and 17. Those are the things that you're worried about. Yeah, that's the hidden yardage that ends up costing you in games. And we've seen when Baker Mayfield, when he's healthy, he has some wheels. He can pick up yards.
Mm-hmm.
He can move the chains. He can convert third downs.
Plays. They're huge
big plays. Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to make a pick until later in the week. I don't know where you're standing on that, so I'll give you.
I'm leaning towards the Buccaneers right now. I just am, just because of Philadelphia's slide. Now, if they had gone in there and kind of righted the ship a little bit and beaten the Giants, I'm going to feel different about it. But the Giants said, I was Tyrod Taylor, man.
Sal Powell said it was the worst, given the circumstances, the worst performance he's seen from the Birds in 31 years of covering the team. Yeah, that's how bad this. That's why when people are saying fire Nick Sirianni, it's not just because 5 of 6. It's the way they're losing and who they're losing to, and we see all the warts of the Buccaneers because we watch every moment of every tape. If you're watching every moment of the Eagles over the last 6 weeks, it's god awful. It is god awful.
And it's not like this team, I don't think, can flip the switch, because if you lose 1 or 2 games, you can kind of flip the switch, right? Yeah. Like the Buccaneers, they bounce back. It wasn't pretty in Carolina, but they bounced back, right? Especially the defense. The defense got mowed down by the Saints. The defense said, "Hell no, we're gonna do our job." When you lose 5 of 6 the way that they have, you know that there is no switch to flip. That switch is broken. Yeah. And so you don't have that confidence of, okay, well, now we can turn it on, because you've been trying to turn it on for 6 weeks. Yeah. You've only flickered it once, and that was a 3-point win over the Giants in Philly. So
no good. All right. Yeah. All right, Scotty, tell everybody what's coming up for Pewter Report this week. Big playoff week.
Yeah, and we just had Yaya Diaby, Bucks Sackmaster, on our podcast last night. You can go check that out on Pewter Report TV. It's our YouTube channel. We have all of our archived podcasts on there, so you can watch those at your leisure, or you can tune in live to our podcast. We're going to have our next one at 4 o'clock. We have them Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 4 o'clock during the regular season. And, of course, we have post-game and pre-game podcasts and in-game podcasts on game day. So we will have lots of Bucks Eagles preview information to talk about and opinions to dish out on Wednesday show at 4 o'clock. You can also follow us on social media, X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report. And, of course, visit the mothership, pewterreport.com. All of the latest stories and columns on your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right, Scotty, thanks, buddy. I'll see you this
week. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
See you, man.
Great, Scott Reynolds right there. This is going to be a fun week of preparation. We're going to have John Clark on from NBC Philly tomorrow, Sal Powell on Thursday, and hopefully John Kincaid from The Fan on Friday. I think that's the lineup. So we'll have lots of Philly chatter back and forth. And I don't think you're going to see – it's not going to be the usual, bluster from Philly fan right now. No. I think that Philly fans dumping on their own. They'll be like, we got no chance. Let's get rid of this bum Sirianni. And they are not high on the Eagles, and nor should they be. They're playing terrible football. So a great opportunity for the Bucks to make a move here and win a playoff game.
Has anyone seen the line on this game yet? I know
it's 2.5. Well, the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites in this game.
I guess that's not shocking. I mean,
I've never seen. Somebody wrote Nathan Elliott made this point, and at first I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, what?
I saw this.
Downtrodden division. Look around the league. The division winners are mostly a dominant dominion in most divisions. Most divisions are not as strong as the South. I will say the South is still weak. Let's not go crazy here. But every team. You look around the league. I mean, the Steelers are 10-7. Really? Wow. They can't score. They just get until late in the season. Even the Chiefs at times have looked like meh. The Dolphins got exposed. The Bills, are suddenly pretty damn good. You know, they're 5-1 against other playoff teams. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. He said, look at the records of teams against other playoff teams. Like, the Chiefs, I think, are 1-4.
Yeah.
Against other playoffs. Like, it's like there's a lot of meh out there. And, when that's the case, get hot. Anybody could win. I wish Baker were healthy. I don't think he is. TJC 22 putting up here, and he's got some inside knowledge, folks.
Right.
I wouldn't go as far as more beat up than Baker. His ankle is a real issue, and more so than they'll say publicly. You can see it. I mean, you saw it on the game. He could barely. That one time he ran on pure adrenaline for the first down, you could see as he moved into the bench, he was like, it was everything he could to just stand up. Because in the moment you're trying to get a first down, you don't really feel the pain, but right after you get it, you're like, oh, yeah, his ankle is not good. He was limping the entire game. He's a gamer, man. He is a freaking gamer, but you can only do so much, You can only do so much. And when your ankle is hurt and you're a mobile guy and you rely on that, and Baker does. I'm not sitting here saying he's Lamar Jackson, but when he can't move, he's extremely ineffective. And we've seen that this year more than ever. Yeah. So I just wish he were 100%. Maybe by Monday he'll be much better.
And as Baker goes, so go the Buccaneers offense.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's and it's part of those things like where it's in the beginning of the game and having rested it all week, his ankle will be pretty good, right? But Michael Penix, just take one shot on that ankle like he did last night at the beginning of the second half, and you're done. You're done. You can't move. You can't press. You got to have feet. You got to have legs to play this game. And when an offensive lineman being bullied by a defense, and when 600 pounds lands on your ankle with cleats up, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And by the way, TJC 22, I changed the channel on my TV for you. Just at your request. It's no longer First Take or whatever the hell came on that I wasn't watching.
What kind of dumbass sitcom you got on there now?
I got Parks and Rec on right now. That's
Parks and Rec. That's one of my faves.
I have Parks and Rec on my TV 24/7, and when it's not Parks and Rec, it's Bob's Burgers. It's one of the
greatest shows of all time.
Family. Yeah, but yeah, dude. I've seen every episode. I've listened to the podcast. It's just
Ashley never watched one. She's never watched an episode of Seinfeld.
Oh wow.
Modern Family, or Parks and Recs. Not one. Yeah.
Wow. Well, because she watches the reality stuff, right?
There's a lot of 1,000-Pound Sister episodes to watch.
Oh,
man.
Gross!
I don't know how you watch that.
I can't watch that stuff.
Or 90 Day the Other Way.
No. Is she watching The Golden Bachelor?
No, won't watch that for some reason. No. Thank God.
I don't know, man.
No, I don't know. I mean,
those are literally the only three shows I watch anymore, and it'll be some rotation. Yeah. If it's on Rec, I have YouTube TV, and Parks and Rec comes on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think, and it's on, dude, from like 8 a.m. until 4:00 before Everybody Loves Raymond, which I used to watch in the 90s when it was on, but not watching it anymore. I just have it on in the background while I'm working. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, boy, TJC's got he's fired up. I thought I was giving that show viewership. I almost even left the show because you were watching that show. It's like I watch Get Up in the Morning sometimes because they kind of set the agenda for national talk.
Sure.
It's 90% Cowboys and Lakers, in season. So I just have to but it's kind of background music. I put Sports Center on just to catch up on some of the highlights. But, nobody in this market gives a rat's ass about the NBA. So that's 90%, or the WNBA. So that's 90% of their content out right there. So it is, but I wish there were other shows to watch. Like I watch Cartons on in the morning, and that's, that's a little bit better. Can't watch the ESPN radio show, whatever the hell that thing is. God, that's been so bad since Mike and Mike. It's just like, we've gone through about 17 iterations. And like, even when they put it together, you're like, and you turn it on, you'd think even putting it together, you'd get a little excited about who's on. It's like who you're giving, who's on his thing now? That's supposed to get me to watch, like even sample it. Like, who are these people? I have no idea. I'm a Chris Canty fan, to be honest with you. I think he's
Sure.
super smart guy. I like a lot of his takes, really, but I don't even know who the other people are on that show. It's got no chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whatever. It is what it is. All right, we'll take a break here. Hopefully we're giving you people what you want, at least some of the time. We are brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source, folks. Always a great time to head on over there if you got some of that Christmas cash burning a hole in your pocket. The prices are fantastic post-Christmas. Of course, you got Valentine's Day fast approaching, folks. Don't forget about that. So get in there early, get your selections. Good time to buy right now because prices are low, inventory is high, and of course, they're the greatest folks over there for customer service. 0% financing, 3 to 5 years on engagement rings and some of their other products as well. Never a bad time to be at the Golden Diamond Source. And, of course, it's local. Julie and Steve Weintraub, great local benefactors. Let's keep it all local, folks, and keep that money in Tampa Bay. Back in 3, we're going to do your comments coming up next. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement cost, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Synovus Bank. big bank with the local feel here in the local area. We got good buddy John Acosta, who I've known for over 40 years, has been in local banking for over 40 years, and those are the folks that they hire over at Synovus Bank. Lots of folks like John Acosta, so just go on in there and ask for John or ask for one of your friendly bankers. They will treat you with respect. They will give you help in your personal banking and also in your business banking. They will partner with you in your business banking to get that investment money that you need to grow your business and help you every step of the way. It's a really, really local bank with a big bank feel as well. So you can get both in one. It's Synovus Bank, synovus.com. Get your local address there and tell them JP sent you. Thanks to Synovus Bank. All right, let's get to some of you commenters out there. Some of you knuckleheads out there that we love so much. No, we really appreciate you guys and your thoughtful comments that you guys put into. We got a really good group. We don't take calls on this show as much as we should. Maybe we'll get to that maybe in the new year, because I miss interacting with you guys like I used to do on radio. So maybe we'll do a little bit more of that this year, because we can't take calls, right, Tim?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a little clunky at times. Do you guys do that on the other shows?
No, I don't. But that's by choice.
Yeah.
I think in my radio experience, I think calls are the absolute worst thing in the history of the world.
You've been doing this a long time. It can derail the show. There's no question about it.
1994, man.
Yeah. It's like the infancy of sports talk radio. Yeah. I know for some reason on when I was doing afternoons at 620 and some of the other shows I've done, we've cultivated a really good group of listeners. And I think for the most part, I would probably say 70-30, maybe even 80-20, really good, positive, thought-provoking calls, not yahoos calling up to, fart in the mic and stuff like that, or stay stupid stuff. So I maybe I've had a little bit of a different experience with our listeners for whatever reason. So I don't know. I do miss talking to some of you, and some of you I don't.
For sure. Some of you I don't.
Let's see. Lonnie Wilkins says, it feels like when the Rays make the playoffs, like nothing's going to happen. Absolutely nothing's going to. Hey, by the way, they made a move. They signed Rob Brantley.
Gronkowski.
Rob, I'd rather they signed Gronk, to be honest, but they signed a backup catcher named Rob Brantley. Woo!
What position would Gronk play if he played for the Rays, you think? First base?
First base. First or third. Right?
Yeah. Infielder for sure.
I bet he played baseball, though. I bet he did.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The NFL is getting exactly what they want, says James. 25 teams competing the last week of the season for playoff spots. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's always been their goal of parity. Is that something you want? I mean,
if you're on one of the bad teams, yeah. But if you're a fan of the dynasties, the Patriots, you don't want parity. You just want your team to dominate every year.
Yeah. Yeah. And, shouldn't we just reward good organizations?
Yeah.
I mean, should the draft just be a lottery where, if the good teams have just as good a chance to get the first pick as the bad teams? I don't know. Maybe that's going a little bit too far, but then we reward them with with a last place schedule. If you're in last place, you get the waivers, you get the, it seems like a lot. It seems like a lot, but I don't know. The model works. It just seems like right now there's just so much media. The games are bad.
Yeah.
Christopher Cole says, go ahead.
I'm no fan of soccer. I despise I don't even call it a sport. All right. I despise it, but I think they got it right. I know, and I'm not too familiar with this. You might know more than me, but I know in some leagues, don't they demote the last place team to a lower level?
Relegation,
Do they then promote another team up? See?
Yeah.
The last place team in the NFL should go have to play in the new UFL, and then the champion of the UFL should come up and play in the NFL.
Yeah, should do that in baseball too.
Yeah.
I think there's some merit to that. Absolutely. What is your take on Jameis? Jew Jetson says, I don't think it's a big deal. Look, your coach tells you to take a knee. Take a knee. I don't know. It's a blowout game. You want to get the guy a touchdown. You want to take a vote. I just think it's just like the ultimate Jameis thing to do. Like Jameis is such he wants to make everybody happy. and that's not such a horrible quality, right? To have. You want to just make everybody happy, but it's a bad quality if you're a quarterback,
right?
Because you're trying to make, he was trying to make Deshaun Jackson happy, trying to make Mike, and try to make. If you can't make everybody happy, and then when it comes to being a quarterback, the only thing you need to make happy is the scoreboard. That's the only thing you need.
Your head coach.
And your head coach, right?
Yeah.
Head coach has to trust you. This is not, I hate to say this, and it's, okay, so he went in there and you guys want to score, let's take a vote. It's in the hierarchy of football, which is, not like military, but in terms of you need discipline. The man at the top has to understand that his soldiers are going to do what they should do, because the man at the top knows more than the soldiers. That's part of it. It's like parents know more than the kids. That's why I can't explain to you, 11-year-old, every time I have to take your iPad away, or I have to discipline you in this, or you can't do this. You can't watch this show. Well, why can't I watch this show? Well, I'm not going to go through a political dissertation on why you can't watch the show. I know better than
because I said so.
It is. I mean, it just is. So there's certain things. And in this case, does Ennis Allen know that, if we score here, they're going to hold a grudge and then maybe break somebody's ankle the next time we play them? I don't know. But the bottom line is, if you don't have a hierarchy of authority in football and you don't do what the coach says, it's not a good thing. Yeah. It's not a good thing. And so, it's like, Jameis, come on, man. I'm always rooting for you because I like you and I think you're a good person and I think you try hard. And I think, there's a lot of good stuff in there that a lot of people don't know, so it's like, God, stop shooting yourself in the foot, dude. The other coaches aren't going to look at that like, oh, that's cute. No, they're going to look at it like, that's dumb, man. I don't want my quarterback doing that. So,
and because of that, when it comes down in the future here, when it comes between, say, him and another quarterback they're thinking about signing as a backup, that could be a detriment to him. That could change the decision. And you know what? This guy doesn't listen to his head coach. We can't trust him. Let's move on.
I mean, in backup quarterbacks is the ultimate do what you're told job.
Yeah,
sit down and shut up.
Lucky to be here.
Like, just tip the clipboard, be a support guy. Don't be rallying the troops behind the coach's back. No, it's not a good professional career move, dude.
Knucklehead.
I mean, but it is. But I love it because you give me fodder, and we talk about it. And it's like such a Jameis thing to do. And I want the audio. Please, God, I want the audio of that huddle. It's just got to be the best. Come on, fellas. What do you want to do? Let's go. Let's take a vote.
Take a vote in the huddle. Screw the head coach.
I just can't. Why does it make me laugh so much? It's just so good. It's so James. We on the one, y'all. Let's go. Of course they want to score, Jameis. What player doesn't want to score? It's not what you're supposed to be doing. I didn't read that. Sorry, James. Also, based on rhetoric on how Bucks played at home, maybe Bucks fans would rather have money than watch teams score 9 points. I get it, James. You're right. It's, I don't have a problem with you guys selling your tickets. I don't. Just do your best to sell them to Buck fans. Put in a little bit extra effort. Well, there was somebody that said, well, there are Eagles fans that live in Tampa Bay. I know that. So if someone wants to buy your tickets and they're an Eagles fan, don't. Check their social media. If they got Eagles jerseys on, probably find somebody else to sell them to. Just make a little extra effort if you're going to sell the ticket. That's all I'm asking.
You're allowed to say no.
Yeah, it's your ticket. You're going to decide who to sell it to. And if you knowingly sell your let's put it this way. If you knowingly sell your tickets to Eagles fan, you're a jerk. And you're a terrible fan, and you should not have season tickets. How about that?
Away. Yep.
Because in this case, it's not like a regular season game. There's plenty of people that want to go to the game that are Buck fans. You're not going to lose out on money. You're going to get a good price. So do your best to sell them. And if you don't, then that's what's wrong with Tampa Bay fans. That's not good. That's not okay. Steve Willis says, I'm looking for 2. We'll go to game and pull for our Bucks. There we go. I gotta check your media though, because you got no pictures, Steve. You probably got some Philly jersey on the other
right.
One. Yeah. All right, we'll see what we can find, Steve.
We'll see what we
can find. Yep, we'll see what we can find for you. Christopher Cole says, I'm going to try and get season tickets next season. Yeah, that's also part of it. Sign up and be a loyal fan. We need more of you. We need more loyal fans to be Bucs season ticket holders because we have too many disloyal ones. Yeah. And I'm sorry if that hurts you if I say that, but that's the truth. There's too many Eagles fans. There's too many Bears fans. There's too many other teams fans in our stadium constantly. Does this happen in Dallas, Tim?
Yeah,
it does actually to some degree. You told me that
everywhere.
The Steelers fans come in and invade your place.
If I see another terrible towel inside AT&T Stadium, I'm going to shoot somebody. It's probably going to be myself.
Like how many are we talking about?
Oh, I'd say when the Steelers come to town, it is 65-35 Steelers. It is ridiculous.
Interesting.
It's just like when the Yankees come to town in baseball, it's freaking Yankees fans everywhere.
Yeah. Man, we know how disgusting that is.
Yeah.
James says not just local media trashing Bucs season, national media gives them no chance. So if you're a struggling financially season ticket holder, someone is flashing big money to sell, I guess you can't blame them. Yes, I can. I can, because I think there are plenty of Tampa Bay fans that want to see this game. And I think you can find a Bucs fan to do it. That's all.
Paul Stewart might have the quote of the day here.
What'd he say?
To quote, Grease for Jameis, if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. It's greatness. Oh, Paul.
Are you calling Jameis a jockstrap? Paul Stewart in the old Cockney accent.
Good day, mate. Oh, that's different. I'm sorry.
No, that's all good. Come on, get it together. TJC says it's crazy how hard it is to execute a high-powered offense when you can consistency. What do you say there?
Where'd you
that up? Consistently win with 4 and stop the run with 4. Yeah. Yeah.
Paul, stop doing accents.
Why?
What's the matter?
Why? It's perfect for you.
Let's cross the pond, mate.
We'll just get you on the show and you can do it there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think that was in we were talking about how Michigan won with the best offensive line and defensive line. And Chris Jenkins' kid, by the way, have you seen this kid?
Yeah.
Have you seen him in the weight room?
God almighty.
Have you seen this guy?
Yeah, he's not human.
Oh, he is not human. His dad wasn't human either. Like he's the second, like he's like his dad was a freaking massive human being. Used to play for the Panthers. Look him up. I think he was like 6'5", 340 and moved like a cat. I mean, he was one of the best I've seen. Just you never heard of him, right? Hardly many people haven't, but
yeah, I know who he is. Yeah,
he was a monster. And his kid is like, he's a true freshman, right?
Yeah,
he's just scratching the surface. That guy is going to be. Can we draft him this year, please? I mean, he's going to be just. He's already a monster. Christopher Cole says Michael Penix was beat up bad last night. He was, and I heard it was Jeff Saturday, or no, it was Booger this morning on Get Up. That guy with the have him on for some balance. And he said, don't trash on Michael Penix because of last night, because it's true.
Yeah.
He was just so beat up just from the get-go. He was taking so many shots. Michigan is so physical. Holy hell. We say this all the time. Don't ever forget it. With all the bells and whistles that we talk about in football, especially in college football, the most physical team wins. By the way, the final poll, FSU is 6th.
Huh.
Behind Oregon.
I haven't seen the poll yet.
Behind the 2 loss, because the Orange Bowl mattered to some of you voters, whoever you are.
Give me a break. Who was second?
Washington.
I was really hoping it was going to be Georgia.
No, Georgia's, I think, 4th. I think they had the playoff teams 1 through 4. I think this is ESPN's stupid.
Oh, their thing, yeah. By the way, Paul, I do appreciate that, and I hope you are referring to Scott Dixon, the IndyCar driver.
Yeah.
Who I like Scott Dixon. We're not talking IndyCar, but I love Scott Dixon as a driver. He's one of the greatest ever. Been doing it a long time. I can't watch him talk. I cannot watch him talk on camera because his top lip does not move. It's just the way he speaks, his accent, and it's uncomfortable for me to watch. But
his top lip doesn't move.
His top lip never moves when he talks. It's weird looking.
Do any of our top lips? Yeah, I guess.
Yes. It's just I don't know. It's his accent, but
Jew Jetson may have the line of the day. I'd need a lawyer. Can Jeeves help me? I took Bucks division champs and FSU to make playoffs at Caesars in Vegas for big money. I was robbed. Well, you got the Bucks. I bet the Bucks to win the NFC South. That was a nice little payoff.
Yep.
At about, I think it was about 20-1, I think it was.
Huh.
Something like that. It was a nice payout. And FSU to make the playoffs. Yeah, it was funny. You go look at the FSU odds to make the playoffs after they won the ACC championship. They were still really, really good. And then as it got closer and closer after Herb Street did his spot that night with the 4 other teams and helmets behind him, it dropped dramatically.
Good Lord.
And then as it creeped closer, the odds kept changing and changing because everybody knew what was up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. And FSU finishes 6th. My God. People just so stupid. Don't worry. And if you're an FSU fan, don't pay any attention to that. Tell Tim to turn. Oh,
that's when I had like First Take or something on behind me.
Yeah. Now I can't blank. I'm like, what episode is that of Parks and Rec? Yeah. Stop. Yes, I know a lot of Eagles fans live here. I still watch All in the Family, says Greg DeCruz. I'm slowly going through football withdrawal as I know we only have another month of football left. Yeah, I know. It's like, can you believe the football season is almost over? Golly.
No.
Greg says, I like Canales, but whoever hires him as a head coach needs to have his head examined if the Panthers hire him. I'd like to see the Bucs hire Thaddeus Lewis, current Bucs quarterback coach. Thad Lewis he's a really energetic. He reminds me a lot of a young Mike Tomlin on the offensive side. Really does. I think Thad Lewis is going to be a head coach someday. I really do. Because I think coaching. If I'm a general manager, by the way, get to this in a second. If I'm a general manager, everybody's, is it a defensive guy? Is it an offensive guy? What is he? It's like, you know what? Give me a leader of men. Give me a leader of men is what I want in my head coach. I want a guy who can motivate my team. I want a guy who's got credibility and gravitas. I want a guy who's creative. I want a guy who's bold. I want a guy who knows how to manage men. I want a guy that is smart about human behavior as he is about the cover 2. We put so much into these coordinators and they did this and they did that but if they're just a bunch of X's and O's guys and they can't lead men, then I don't want you as my head coach. I think, as far as X's and O's go, I can go hire assistant coaches that can do that for me. I want a guy who's going to lead men. I want Antonio Pierce. I mean, that guy stands in front of his team and he's a badass. And guys, guys like that, I think are the future leaders of NFL football teams. Kyle Shanahan is a really smart guy. And I think, that works too. If you have, but you also have to have the other qualities too. I'm not discounting guys like him and Sean McVay that are just, really super smart guys. And, and even to some degree, Mike McDaniel, he's gotten the respect of his team because of how smart and down to earth, and his personal story is really tremendous. I mean, the guy's overcome a lot. I think the guys respect that. If you can, overcome addiction and become a very viable human being, I think guys respect that. So they become, instances of good leaders of men that are respected. And I think that's important. And I see other guys that are, quote, great coordinators, but are they leaders of men? And do I put Todd Bowles in that category? Yes, I do. Todd is, and I've said this a lot. Todd's too nice a guy. He doesn't want to piss people off. He doesn't want to make hard choices a lot of times. And if, as a head coach, boy, you got to piss people off. And I think, look at Jim Harbaugh. It took him a long time to get rid of Don Brown and some of the older coaches on his staff because he had so much loyalty to him. But I think even he realized at some point that this is a young man's game. I got to get guys in position coaches that can relate to these players and recruit them on their level. Don Brown was a great coach and had a great run. But when he walks into a living room of a kid in, inner city Miami, and as an old white guy, and, and the guy coming in behind him, 31 years old, who played in the NFL and is a badass, African-American dude, who you think that kid's going to be more in tune with? It just is what it is. And, for whatever reason, I don't want to bring identity into it, but it is what it is. And so he changed, he made some changes on his staff. And Michigan got better at recruiting. They got better on the field. They got better, X's and O's guys. And voila, look what you came up with. You recruited a lot better and you got better players and you won a national championship.
Yep. So
it's okay to say, for me to say, and I think for people to say, Todd Bowles is a great coordinator. From what I've seen, is he a great leader of men? No, but that's just my opinion. And I feel dirty even saying it. Like I couldn't do it. I certainly could not do it. I don't have the gravitas to walk into an NFL room. They would laugh me out of the building for obvious reasons.
Yeah, that's not a knock on him personally.
No.
It just means that particular job is not suited for his particular personality. He's a great coordinator.
It's hard to find these people.
Yeah.
Like I always say, for quarterbacks and head coaches, there's about 15 to 20 people on the planet that might be any good at it. It's not easy. It takes a super special, driven, somewhat crazy human being to be really good at this stuff. It's hard. Yeah. It's really, really hard. And, and you sit here and say, is Todd Bowles a guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl from what I've seen? No. I just don't see that. Can he win me a playoff game? Yeah, probably. He should win this one this week because the Eagles are just in a death spiral. They're so bad, but the Bucs haven't been super impressive either. All right, we'll take a quick break on the other side. Thanks for your comments, by the way, all you guys. Really appreciate you jumping in, except for you, Paul Stewart. We will take a break and thank our good friends at American Mortgage Services, Scott Fitzgerald and all the team over there, Clayton and all the group. They are really, really great with customer service. They will shop your loan around. Rates are coming down, so go to the guys that shop all the different places and banks. If you go to one bank, you're only dealing with one bank, all right? Why not deal with a bunch of lenders that can get you a much better rate and all those fees that the big banks put on their gang? Don't watch out. American Mortgage Services don't do that, and they have the lowest rate. So email him, Scott at AMS Tampa, Scott at AMS Tampa. Tell him JP sent you. Back at 3.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, Scott at amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to Scott at amstampa.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com, or call 813-485-6808. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Knowles at the patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the patio.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, well, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the patio. They had a big crowd last night for the national championship game. Don't forget to get there early for the Bucs playoff game next Monday night. You'll want to do that, no question about it. And all the playoff games this weekend, it's the patio. It is the place to go. You can go watch the Lightning there tonight if you so desire. As they return home and I get back to work.
Who do we have? Lightning Kings? Who is
yes.
it?
Yeah, Lightning Kings tonight. We got I got a storm to drive through to get there too. It's storming. Yeah. I believe it's hitting Tampa Bay quickly right now. My man, let's go to weatherman on spotted Lutz, TJ Reves, Bucs sideline guy, to give us an update on the approaching front that's coming in.
Is that my role now?
What does it look like there, TJ?
Green, I got to stand in front of the green screen here.
No, get up against the wall.
Like
it's supposed
to be nasty later. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be nasty later, but not right now. Allegedly, presumably, until later this afternoon, and then it'll be bad for an hour or two. So you're going to get it coming right across the middle of the state. They've already had it bad in the Panhandle, also with freezing conditions as well. So. Nastiness there, but I don't think you have me on for meteorology.
No, but hey, we're gonna have good weather on Monday night, I believe. Hopefully,
let's hope so. For
How was
Buccaneers.
Carolina? Carolina looked like a beautiful sunny day to go out there.
It was a beautiful day, a windy day that affected some things. A lot of Buck fans, a lot, relative. They had probably 3,000 or 4,000 Buccaneer fans wrapped around in the lower bowl behind the bench, which was great to see. We theorized that last week on your show. And look, I heard a lot of the beginning of your show yesterday with you and Nick and back and forth. That was not a Picasso. But my friend, the only thing that matters, this, is win the game. And we have seen this movie before in Buccaneer lore, most famously the 3-0 game in the quagmire in the pouring rain against the Chiefs, 1979. It is held up for all time as the first ever playoff clinching win, and it was only 3-0. Neil O'Donohue, the winning field goal, who still lives in the Tampa Bay area in Clearwater, Florida, is the hero from that. More recent, though, not as recent. You and I are getting old. Do we just want to say it? When 2002 is 21 years ago, 21 years ago, the final game, you may have been there. I was not on the game broadcast. I was not there. Champaign, Illinois, Buccaneers, Bears, because they were renovating Soldier Field. Remember, they played the final game against the Bears.
That godforsaken place.
5 Martin Gramatica field goals. Shout out to Martin. Ugly game for a lot of the game. All field goals, all defense. You win that. You win the division. You go on to win the Super Bowl. I am not suggesting on FanStream JP and the JP Peterson Show that the Bucs are a Super Bowl contender. However, there is some interesting symmetry here because both of those years, ugly 3-0 win. Who'd you beat in the playoffs, JP? Stick with me. Who'd you beat in the playoffs? The Eagles. 2002 in the 5 field goal regular season finale, you go to the playoffs and eventually beat who?
The Eagles.
The Eagles. And now you play, let's just say it, bowling shoe ugly, butt ugly, 9-0 game. You won it, but you got the Eagles again right in front of you.
Yeah, and who've lost 5 or 6, and they're in the death spiral. They're just off. They're
in big trouble.
Sirianni to be fired before the game, before the playoff game even happens.
Welcome to Philadelphia, fan. They were winning the Super Bowl in the 4th quarter, and now here it is a year later. After getting off to a 10-1 start, they have fallen apart on both sides of the ball. How healthy is Jalen Hurts' hand? How healthy is his knee? How healthy is A.J. Brown? We don't know.
I think it's his
Buccaneers are banged
finger,
up.
Middle finger.
He dislocated it, but he didn't break it. So I don't know what that means for being able to grip the ball, throw the ball down the field. And look, I'm with you. I'm echoing a lot of what you've already said. Baker Mayfield is not healthy. I'm not making excuses. He was not particularly good Sunday with open receivers he wasn't seeing. He did make a couple of key throws in the second half of the game, the fourth quarter. Gutsy run in the fourth quarter to go get a first down, hobbling, running. You love the guts, but he's got to be more effective. I will agree. I will point out one other thing to the audience, and I have not seen the TV copy. I don't know how much they belabored this, but anytime a team was going to the TV right, to the south in the game, it was very tough to throw the ball, especially throw the ball deep, and both teams knew that. And so, like in the first quarter for the Buccaneers and the fourth quarter for the Buccaneers, actually the second quarter and the fourth quarter, it was almost like, okay, now you're with the win. Now you can open it up a little more if you can open it up. But by that point, the Bucs are up 6-0, 9-0. They're looking to preserve the lead and play Buck ball and win it. But like on the long one to Evans, I'll just point out to you, on the long one in the first quarter to Evans, that's a ball held up briefly by the wind. It was gusting that much.
All the difference in the world, yeah.
And maybe if he throws it a little lower, not as high, it's going to be 6 to Evans. Again, insert your joke that Mike dropped one of those from Tom Brady a year ago in the same stadium. But more than likely, that's like a 70-plus yard touchdown.
It changes
except it got hung up in the wind early on in the game. It was the same for both teams. Weird game, low-scoring game. But at the end of all of this, you know this, I keep saying this, they're not going to put an addendum. They passed out the shirts and the hats. They don't have an addendum that says you beat Carolina twice at the end to win the NFC South. It does not say that on the shirt. I can verify that. It just says
locked
champs.
in. What did it say? Locked in?
Locked up.
Locked up.
Locked up for the NFC South. They locked up the NFC South with that win as the shirt and the hat. So that was neat to be in that locker room. Speaking of Mayfield, what a redemption moment for him. Cast off by Carolina.
Yep.
Now playing for his new team in Carolina with all the pressure on to win that game.
Gutsy performance.
You got to feel good for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of positives to take out of this. I mean, you look at the tape and you can dissect it and say there's a lot of bad football on there, but yeah, your quarterback's got probably a grade 3 strain in his sternum, probably a grade 3 ankle sprain, and he's out there just getting it done. He's just getting it done, and defensively, Cansey's making play. And Antoine Winfield Jr. I was just watching in the break. McCourty was doing his Good Morning Football awards to the defensive backs, and guess who won the #1 award? The belt goes to Antoine Winfield.
It's like you said yesterday. He's gonna be first team All Pro. He's gonna be one of the top
I think
two
he's
safeties.
the MVP of this team, offense and defense. I love Baker.
I think you can make the argument he is the best player this season on the team, either side of the ball. Now you might make an argument Chase McLaughlin, the kicker. Don't just dismiss that.
No, seriously.
I mean, the only 2 kicks that didn't go through the uprights were ones that got blocked. Other than that, how money has that guy been for this season?
Yeah, that was a great pickup.
Antoine Winfield, you cannot say enough about that hustle play. So just to go back to Sunday, that's about 15 yards to my left. So I look to the left immediately at Chark running right by Jamel Dean. You documented it. He runs towards the end zone, and I can see Winfield coming as a blur. Split second, here he comes. And as soon as that contact was made, I'm behind it a little bit. As soon as that contact is made, the first thing I see is the pigskin in the air. And I'm like, did he get that ball out again? Yeah. And Winfield jumped up off the ground. I don't know if TV had this. And he immediately did the wag, the Dikembe Mutombo finger, and he pointed to the screen. Like, I got that out.
Yeah.
And
the presence of mind, like he knows, like Winfield knows, just like in the Atlanta game with Ritter. He knows that he's not just physically, you're not going to be able to stop the body from going into the end zone. He knows that from his
That's
angle.
right.
So he knows, this is why he's such a smart player. My only chance in this play is to look for the ball and punch the ball out, which he did in both situations with Ritter. And now DJ Chark, dumb enough to reach the ball out in that situation and expose the football. I mean, if he jumps in the air and holds it close to his chest, Winfield has no chance. But extend, there's no reason to extend the ball in this situation, and because you're going to score, you just lean into it. You're going to score. but Winfield's eyes are not even looking at the body. He knows he's got no chance to stop him. His only chance is the ball, and he puts his eyes. Just so smart. Just so smart.
And he said after the game, you've been propping the Nothing But Bucks podcast. I love the recap podcast where we replay the interviews and all that. He said, I practice that stuff. This is stuff from the practice field to the game. He's practicing diving, knocking the ball out. That's what it translates into. Give him a ton of credit for that play. And again, it's a different game. You get that touchdown. If you're Carolina and you're up 7-0, the Bucks maybe press. You definitely know you need touchdowns on your end at that point. Who knows how it comes out? And I'm hearing a lot of the stuff about, oh, you're lucky that they lined up wrong for the touchdown that would have made the game 9-7. Look, I mean, that is something that is illegal, and it is called 10 times out of 10 and 50 times out of 50. If you line up wrong, there's a guy on each side of the line of scrimmage who's looking right at it, and as soon as the guy on the receiver was right beside me, as soon as the receiver was not on the line, he threw the flag immediately, and I knew immediately they're lined up wrong. So, yes, it's great that you got to celebrate the touchdown, but it comes right off the board.
Did you sense that the Bucks knew it was on them and maybe they relaxed a little bit defensively on that play, or were they still going full out?
No, I think they were still going full blast.
Devin White literally almost stopped running.
He got blocked, and then I think Winfield came over too, and I don't know if he got blocked or took the bad angle.
They were going full.
But I don't think they let up. I don't think they realized in that moment, hey, that flag is definitely on Carolina. They're trying to make the play.
But shouldn't be doing that.
Again, that is an illegal formation that's going to get called every time, and it's a non-play. It didn't even get showed in the highlights on the NFL Network or on ESPN as, oh, look what could have happened, because it's an illegal play. And the very next play is JTS with the sack from behind. Yep. He's been maligned. Yaya Diaby has taken most of his playing time, but he stepped up big in that moment to make the play on Bryce Young. They made enough plays. They made enough plays on Sunday. One more thing that I want to add here, and you know this. They have won games in different ways down the stretch. The Atlanta game, they had to outscore Atlanta in the second half and the fourth quarter. The Green Bay game, they had to keep scoring and scored 34 points. The Jacksonville home game, they wiped out Jacksonville by scoring a bunch. Well, now you play two ugly games, one in a loss and one there Sunday at Carolina, ugly, 3 field goals and a win. The fact that you are able to win in different ways says something for this team.
Absolutely.
Because Jacksonville, JP, would have greatly traded places with the Buccaneers. They scored 20 points Sunday in Nashville. They scored a couple of touchdowns. They would have greatly traded places if they could have scored more in one, but they couldn't outscore Tennessee. So find a way to win. The Bucs have won a couple of times in different ways. And now we go to the Eagle game on Monday night with a lot of good mojo. There will be some Eagle fans, I'm sure, at Raymond James Stadium. But like you mentioned, they are beat down right now. They are psychologically damaged. Do you not agree, JP? This is ripe for a Buccaneer win.
I watched some of that game with the Giants, and that is a lost team. They're like pointing fingers in defensive backfield. They're busting coverages right and left because they've got 4 or 5 new guys back there. They're decimated in defensive secondary, and the guys that are playing are clueless. Suddenly their offensive line is not good. I think Lane Johnson has been injured a lot. Kelsey's just getting old. I mean, those guys are getting older. They can't pick up the blitz. Jalen Hurts is not. Sal Pal gave me the stats on that. They blitzed them last week, and every time it was a disaster for the Eagles. So you think Todd Bowles is coming after him?
Sure.
Hell yes. And stay aggressive. Come after him.
Well, what have we talked about on your show since September? That all the bad mouthing of this situation and what's going to happen, they've outperformed all of that. They've outperformed it. They've won the division. Just get in the playoffs, and anything can happen now that you're in the playoffs. And here we go with beat the Eagles and now see what ends up happening. Because I've had so many people saying, okay, well, you got to play the 49ers if you win this game. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Not with the Rams, who've been hot at Detroit. Yeah. Not with Green Bay, who had to win late in the year and get in playing at Dallas, where they've had success before. I know Aaron Rodgers was there, but they've had success at Dallas in the playoffs, even against Dak Prescott.
And by the way,
it's not a given.
No, the 49ers are a great football team. When they're healthy, you're not beating them. But guess what? There were 3 games this year where Trent Williams didn't play. They had a couple of guys out. They lost. They lost 3 in a row. You know,
Deebo Samuel out, others out. Right, sure. But it's not a guarantee. It's not a true bracket. You know this. It's not a true bracket where one plays 4 or 5 no matter what. Right. Because again, if the 6, the Rams, or the 7, Green Bay win the game, that's the team going to play San Francisco no matter who wins Monday night. So welcome to the playoffs, Buccaneer fans. This is going to be a blast. This is what we've been pointing towards for about the last month. Here's the other thing. While we're putting the addendums, 9-0 against Carolina, 5 wins in the last 6 games when you had to have it.
Yep.
That says a lot for the constitution of this team.
Yeah,
and a lot of people gave up, and it would have been easy to give up on when you lost 6 of 7 in the middle of the season, but you were losing them to good teams. I know you know that. But to win 5 of your last 6 when Atlanta had everything on the line at home, you beat them in the final minute. Green Bay had to win, knowing full well if we don't win, we're in big trouble. Late in the year, at home, you beat them. Jacksonville trying to hang on to the division. They eventually did not. You helped damage them. You helped knock them out of the playoffs after they were 8-3. Those are enormous performances to set up the ugly, the hide your eyes 9-0 game Sunday. But we'll take it and now go on to the Philadelphia game.
Not a Picasso. That's for damn sure.
No.
Picasso's make
But I mean, again,
sense.
that team with all the Hall of Famers, with all the greats. I mean, the team that had Sapp and Brooks and Lynch and Barber and Allstott and all of those players only won 15-0 in Chicago. And who cares? Because it's what they did after that regular season finale.
That's right.
And now you're in the tournament. Now you're in the tournament.
All right, my friend.
I'm here for you to give you some optimism on a Tuesday. Here we go.
Hopium, as we like to call it. Hope. Scott Reynolds called it hopium. We smoking the
hopium is there. You're in, and you're in a great spot to go win this game and be one of 8 teams left playing football if you win this game.
All right, TJ, great stuff, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Always good to be with you. We will catch up with you after all of this. Thank you, brother.
All righty. So that was a fun day. Our thanks to Scott Reynolds, TJ Reeves, and Tim Ham there. IndyCar Tim. Great job, my friend. Good show. If you missed anything, you can always go listen to it as a podcast on Apple and Spotify and anywhere you get your podcast. Just please follow us. Get the subscription there on YouTube, our YouTube channel as well. And always at fanstreamsports.com. We'll be back tomorrow. John Clark from NBC Philly will join us Thursday. Sal Palantonio. Hopefully John Kincaid on Friday. All the Philly folks you could ever stand and the good people. We love them all. We will see you guys tomorrow. See you then.